Hello, welcome to Sip's Wood Chips. I'm Sip Bendis. In the previous video, we made the little Scotty dog, and he turned out pretty good. In this video, we're going to go ahead and make his buddy, the Hedgehog. The block of wood for this project is about 8 inches long, 4 inches wide, and it's about 1.5 inches thick. I like to make these toys nice and heavy, made out of good stock. This again is a piece of American walnut that came from a dresser I found. I went ahead and sanded off the paint that was covering it. There is a stripe left, and I guess I'll keep that. I'm going to go ahead and make it like that. So the first thing I need to do is take up a heavy pencil and make an outline of the little hedgehog. And you can check on my YouTube site. There's a link to the Google Plus site, and there are graphics of this pattern and the pattern for the Scotty dog. You can just right click, save target as, and save it to your hard drive, then print it out on your printer. I take mine and I print them, and then I attach them to a good piece of cardboard stock. And let's go over to the bandsaw. I tried to set up my camera so you can get a better view of the actual blade while it's doing the cutting. And I'm going to start by cutting some relief notches. And this is a 12-inch bandsaw with a 1/4-inch blade. Going in and out is not really a good idea. I'm trying to be very careful about it. If it gives me any trouble backing out, then I'll stop and restart the saw. But it's cutting a very good curve. Plenty loose. I'm going to go ahead and outline the back of the hedgehog. So that'll make my cuts into the wood a little shorter. I won't have to back it out as far. Okay. Now that I have those done, I can start cutting these out. And they should come right out. And even though my lines on the diagram are straight, I'm curving them just slightly. And again, I'm going to outline his nose here, and this part of his head, so that I can get in closer. cut off this one. I'm going to do his nose. This is his brow, and this is the round top of his head. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut his chin. I'm going to go ahead and make this little relief cut first. And I'll make another one here. Now I should be able to do the underside of his jaw. I couldn't make the curve, so I was on the wrong line. So this one is the right one here. The important thing here is let the tool do the work. Yeah, that's better. And then I'll cut this one. Okay. And then I need to do his tail. So I'll do a relief cut here. One and a half inch thick hardwood cuts quite slowly. I take my time. Little tail comes in through here and then goes up its back. So I'm going to do that. Okay, that time I didn't make a relief cut, so I'm going to stop the saw. I should have made a relief cut in here, and back that out on that curve was going to be tight. So I'll make my relief cut. Okay. And I can cut the last of these. Okay, and there's the hedgehog. Here he is. This back I'll have to sand down and get rid of all the sharp edges. Okay, this is my little 4-inch sander, belt sander, and it's quite noisy, and with the fan on to blow the dust away, it's going to be quite loud. What I'm going to try to do is taper these guys, and I'm going to sand them down on the edges so they kind of curve across instead of having sharp corners. I'm going to try to sand off all the corners. His nose too, I'll try to make it a little bit more pointed of a snout. Tail, I'll round off the tail a little bit too and make it come more to a point, but it's still rounded. And so there we go. I hope I can get the camera. When I did the other one, I didn't get any good shots really because I was in the way the whole time. With the power sander, I can't get into here very well, and if I try to do this on the power sander, it'll take off a lot more than it should. So I have a little piece of wood, and I glued some sandpaper. I have some, looks like 100 grit, and then some 150. And using it, I'll go ahead and sand away the undersides of each of the spines to get rid of the saw marks, and then slightly round over any sharp edges. That looks pretty good. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Next, I need to decide where his wheels are going to go. his wheels are supposed to go right about here. And I want to put this one as far back as I can. Okay. So I need to be right about there. Okay. And I have a 3/8 brad point bit in my drill press. And what I want to make sure is that if I drill there, that I have some wood all the way around. And I'm going to move this one just a little bit further away from the front, because I don't want it to break through. Plenty of wood around it. I set my drill press so it would just barely come through this side. That way I know where to drill. Depending on where you buy your dowel rods, they're different sizes. This is going to be too tight. I would have to sand this down in order for it to turn loosely. So I'm going to go ahead and drill that out to the next size. So I'm going to drill this out to 13/32. And I'm going to drill halfway through one side, then I'm going to flip it over and drill from the other side. And now my dowel rod should slip through quite loosely. Next I need to assemble the wheels. And I'm going to go ahead and push them through with a mallet. And I want them just slightly above the edge. I want them to extend just slightly. That way I can sand them off on the belt sander. A little bit of glue in here. Just to drop. They really fit pretty tight. Okay. A little bit of glue on the shaft, the dowel. So it doesn't come back out of there. If I put them on the cloth and hammer them, then they'll go through just a little bit further. And that's what I want, so I can just sand off the excess. Now these are in there pretty tight, so I don't have to let them dry. Next, these are going to go through, and he'll look like that. This one I have to drive through and just leave it a little bit loose. And to do that, I usually put a piece of cardstock and hammer it down until it touches the cardstock. Okay. So again, put a little bit of glue in here. In there, spread it around good. Okay, put some glue on the dowel. And glue, pass it around. Okay, now I'm going to get it started. Okay, now I'll put this card down there. So I want to make sure that it turns loosely. I'll let this dry a little and I'll cut it up with a flush cutting saw. Sometimes the glue makes it a little bit more difficult to cut. Now I'll put these on the belt sander and just sand them flush. Well, I've been giving our little Hedgehog friend a coat of mineral oil, and that's certainly improved the color. You can see it's just totally changed and darkened down really nice. Good contrast with the oak wheels. I mean, these out of oak I had laying around. And I'm just going to wipe off the excess, smooth it on, so that makes the stripe nice. Blends in a lot better. It looked really dark against the sanded wood, but once it's been oiled, now it looks pretty good. Okay, so there's our little Hedgehog. This sapwood looks nice. It's this light colored wood here. It looks pretty good. The stripe, you can see the stripe blends in so much better. You can see his little eye here. The other side, there's his eye. And this wood has got beautiful color to it. This is still part of that same dresser that I found. It's all walnut. And it's like from 1941, I believe, or 1944, 1941. Yeah. So it's old wood, it's good wood, very solid, great color. So if you enjoyed this video, click on like. Don't forget to subscribe.